Tonight on Nova, the wild victims of war. Trapped by oil leaks, tortured by Iraqi soldiers, countless animals have suffered or died due to the war in the Gulf. One man leads an heroic effort to save these forgotten creatures.
I would like to save and help these birds.
Is it too late to undo the damage of Saddam's war on wildlife?
Funding for NOVA is provided by Lockheed, a bold new force in systems engineering, management, and technology services for defense, space, and industry. And Johnson & Johnson, the signature recognized around the world for commitment to quality healthcare products for the entire family. Major funding for NOVA is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the financial support of viewers like you. In late January 1991, the world watched horrified as Saddam Hussein deliberately released millions of gallons of oil into the Persian Gulf.
I saw the oil slick on the evening news, as did millions of other people around the world, and saw that cormorant covered in oil. I immediately contacted the Wildlife Department of the Saudi government. Having seen oil spills in many other areas of the world, including Alaska, Mexico, Cape Cod, and the Puerto Rican areas, we realized how important it is to get on the scene, get the equipment on the scene as fast as humanly possible. A lot of studies have been done on oil spills, and there's a lot of good data available, but the bottom line is speed, getting people there to get the animals off the beach and begin treatment as soon as possible.
In a spiteful act of destruction, oil, the precious liquid which started the war, was being deliberately squandered. The object of war had become a weapon of war, waged against innocent victims, the region's wildlife. Biologist John Walsh flew to Saudi Arabia to coordinate wildlife rescue efforts. He's one of the world's experts in rescuing animals from disasters such as oil spills. Working in dangerous military zones just miles from the fighting, he waged a war of his own on behalf of the animals. Our film shows 8 days in his struggle.
Good morning, sir. My name is John Walsh. I'm with the World Society for Protection of Animals. I think you have a reservation for me made by the National Commission for Wildlife.
By mid-February, the world was anxiously watching hourly news bulletins. The Allied forces were massed along Kuwait's borders, ready to strike in what Saddam Hussein had threatened would be the mother of all battles. Every day, wildlife experts and volunteers are permitted to drive north through high-security military zones between 30 and 40 miles from the Kuwaiti border to collect birds and sea turtles caught in the oil spill. 3 days ago, the Saudi army rescued this sea turtle from the oil and put it into a freshwater pool, but that's all they could do. Tonight, the army is moving out up to the war front. In a bid to save the sea turtle's life, they've given John and a Saudi marine biologist permission to collect the animal from this highly sensitive military zone.
Okay. I'm gonna run it. Oh. Okay, lady. Okay.
Once aboard the Land Rover, it's a 2-hour dash south, passing along a highway jam-packed with military convoys, all heading north to the battle zone. Eventually, they reach the rescue center, but only just in time.
Worry about the back glass. Get it off the flesh. Under here. Get right up underneath. Yeah, water's okay. Geez, really cold. It's getting colder on, huh? Amazing. Yeah.
John Walsh has been rescuing wildlife for almost 30 years, calling on the expertise of biologists and zoologists from around the world, but never in a major war zone. These wildlife experts have flown into this hazardous area and volunteered their services to help their Saudi partners in the wildlife war. The race is on to clean and save this starving sea turtle, even though her chances of survival are very slim.
Yeah.
By now, most of the civilians have evacuated this area, and John has the lonely task of organizing the search for casualties along the shore.
It's been incredibly difficult because it's a war. And I mean, it's incredibly difficult just to get information about where the oil is, but to get equipment here, to get skimmers here. For a plane to land with a boom, it's $50,000 an hour for insurance for a plane to land. For a skimmer to be operating in these waters, which mines have washed up on the beach not far from here. It's an area it's a war zone. I mean, there are missile sites along here. There's a guardhouse just a few feet away. There are army trucks, and it looks like tonight might be the night the fireworks start. I mean, all you have to do is look at the sky around you, the haze, the black from the sky that set all these oil fields on fire, and that's why it's so dark and hazy. It's why it's so cold today. You can imagine what it's doing to the environment as this stuff starts settling across in Iran and the other areas. The damage has been incredible. I was lucky enough as a biologist to be able to be standing on an area beach when it came in. This is Abu Ali Island. It's in the Gulf, and it is in the direct line of the oil and the direct line of the prevailing winds that pushed the oil up onto the beach on February 13th. I was able to watch the oil as it came in. The night before, cormorants and grebes were out on a reef about 100 yards offshore. They had been covered in the oil. The oil went right over them and they drowned. It was
At dawn this morning, Saudi troops started moving across the desert on their mission to liberate Kuwait. Artillery and rocket launchers hammered the Iraqi defenses. This was the historic moment as the great army of Saudi tanks and armored personnel carriers ground their way onto Kuwaiti soil and fanned out across the desert.
The land assault started last night. Today, the Saudi army escorts the rescue team onto the beach at Manifa, just 30 miles from the fighting in Kuwait.
Every day we meet, we find a lot of birds which is covered all with oils, and we do our best to clean that bird. Some are still surviving and some already dead. And we took the birds who need care, and we do our best until the guys who's specialized in this case to take over.
We got him. Good show. Nice catch. It's a cormorant, too.
It's full of oil.
Yeah, he's really covered. But he must have just got into it today, huh? Give a quick check along the beach and see what else we got. Yeah. Notice he was hiding up on the high ground. Let's just give a look. Let's just give a quick look while... Look at this. What a mess. Look how thick it is. How will it ever get off the rocks? How will they ever clean it? Dead birds as far out as you can see. Smells. How could anything live in this? I wonder how many fish are dying underneath.
I believe there is a lot.
You've seen a lot of dead fish wash in?
Yeah.
What a mess. Look at this oil, huh?
Yeah.
It goes out as far as you can see.
And the smoke as well?
Yeah, the smoke is from the burning of the Kuwaiti crude oil, isn't it? 150, 190 wells on fire today?
695 last night. It could be more today, I don't know.
First day of the war, and the black smoke is coming right down to the Black Ocean. Silent black death, not only for the residents of Kuwait, but for everything that's migrating through and everything that's living in this part of the Gulf.
Volunteers for the wildlife war come from all nations. Every morning, British soldiers arrive to clean the birds. The Jubail leisure site was hastily converted into a rescue center a few weeks ago when news of the oil spill broke. Universities and schools have closed because of the war, so students remaining in Al Jubail are also offering their help.
The prince of the eastern province, he told us, and I heard too from my father, that they want people to help these birds. In this section, we clean the birds. We clean their beaks because there's some, petrol in their mouth, and they have some in their eyes. We have to put for them eye drops. Then we have to feed them. Some of them can't be fed. I'm not going to school for this in this moment because of the war. Well, at the meantime, I have a lot of time, spare time. I would like to spend it here in this place to save and help these birds.
You can't give them fish, things like that, but spinach is one of the most nutritious of the green vegetables. It was worked out on the basis that Travles was a vegetarian, and it just sounded like something that was going to be healthy.
The front is very heavy, the back isn't so heavy.
The rescued sea turtle has been here 2 days. Her condition is now critical. These British and Swiss marine biologists decide to force-feed her with a spinach protein mixture. This is the turtle's only chance if she's to survive.
Okay, now here it's reached the force crop. Yes. Sometimes you can get it into there. Okay, and that means it's gone through the force crop into the stomach.
Everything is much harder because of the chaos of the Gulf War. The authorities have many other things on their minds besides saving dying animals. Getting passes to high-security beaches is difficult for the rescuers, and the authorities are even less sympathetic to film crews. By the time we leave Saudi Arabia, our crew will have been arrested 3 times.
These birds are suffering from hypothermia. The oil breaks down the insulating quality of the fur. Today it's warm, but yesterday it was cold. It gets cold at night, and they go up into the sand dunes to hide at night. In fact, rather than usually run for it, they run parallel to the beaches. We come for them. In this case, there was no escape but to go back into that thick oil. Run heading for Kuwait, huh? This is the Socotra cormorant. This is the rare ones that are found just here in the Gulf. You can see their typical aggressive behavior. When they grab you with that little hooked beak, they rip the skin, they cut it. But if you turn your hand loose for a minute, you see how fast they are. These guys are all professional wildlife biologists from the commission, but we're a little bit concerned with the volunteers. Not only because of the explosives that are on the beach, but also because of the danger of these guys. These birds will turn around and give you a bite. Somebody just hold that now.
Okay.
Okay. Now, mind you, this oil can be cleaned off, and the bird will be fully waterproof within a day or two. So this bird is healthy. He's obviously been eating before he got into the oil. And he'll survive, don't you think?
Yeah, I would think that.
Good washing and a quick flushing out of his system. He'll be ready to go perhaps in a few days.
Further down the beach, the chase continues. About half a dozen volunteers go with John each day under military escort. But with such a small team, they can only manage to rescue about 30 birds a day, knowing that for thousands more along these shores, death lies waiting.
This stuff is so thick. It's really thick on the bottom.
Come back here a bit.
Wow, this is awful on the water. Like 6 inches of wow. That's dangerous. That's really thick. He's just, well, he's thin. He's probably been hit last night, probably gonna. Got a box?
They came out of their foxholes in droves, some in tears, others frightened, most relieved and pathetically grateful. It was a scene repeated right across the front line as the Allies advanced on the Iraqi defenses, rounding up whole battalions at a time. But if Saddam's announcement of a withdrawal was a gambit to halt the Allied momentum, it has failed. They're advancing as rapidly as ever, intent on forcing his surrender.
The military war is moving along quickly, but the wildlife war has only just begun. Prince Abdullah bin Faisal bin Turki Al Saud is the governor of Saudi Arabia's eastern province. He's invited environmental experts to fight the world's largest oil spill.
What sort of international cooperation has been offered to you?
Well, some countries have been very helpful. They just took whatever they had off the shelf and sent it to us. Some are also going to do that. The British government helped with the wildlife rescue project by sending 3 volunteers from the RSPCA to train the local people who are also volunteering. We have set up a center to try to clean as many birds as possible. 7 weeks ago, when we heard the report, we realized that we would be the first people to be hit, and we had a lot of industries and a lot of operators in the industrial city that would have had great losses if the processed water or the cooling water was stopped. So we decided to move very quickly, and we all worked together and managed to get lots of booms and skimmers and a barge, and then prepared pits, because the problem is not just gathering the oil and skimming it. The problem is also where to put it. And unless you have huge tanks, it would be very difficult to imagine just putting it on land, because that's another form of pollution.
We are just 40 miles south of Kuwait, and government workers collecting the oil carry their gas masks at the ready in case of a Scud attack. Only a handful of pits have been prepared. Dealing with an environmental catastrophe with a war going on is very dangerous and expensive. But the hardest thing is the planning. For security reasons, no aerial reconnaissance has been allowed in Gulf airspace, and so the environmental experts don't know the position and size of the oil slick.
John, what's the logic with the staggering these booms like this but not putting them completely across?
Well, the way I understand it is that when you deploy a boom, you don't put it against the current or against the oil, because there's so much head pressure built up by the oil as it flows down that eventually it gets under the boom. So the idea of booming is, in fact, to deflect as much as possible to an area onshore or into an area where you can actually pick it up.
Contain it.
and take it out of the system.
Now, with the oil that's already come along the beach here, this ooze, what will they do here to clean it? How will they get it off?
Well, some place they can suck it. Some place there's sorbent pads they can put down and actually lift it. Other place they can scrape it off manually with shovels. Other places they can use it on the sand, for instance. They can run a grader along there and take it off. Sometimes it's difficult to understand, but often the most difficult thing is not to clean up at all. It's difficult to explain to people because if you go and clean up into a sensitive area, you start treading, just even people will tread the oil down into lower sediments and the toxins will remain there for a long time. In the Gulf, because you've got such high sunlight intensity, and high temperatures, you've got a great potential for photo-oxidation, and that will tend to weather down the oil very quickly.
What's the time factor in weathering of the oil?
It's in the Gulf. It's quite quick. It's once it becomes beach tar, it becomes more or less inert. Our emphasis now should be on habitat protection or habitat cleanup or restoration, because without habitats, no matter how many species you pull out the water and clean up, unless there's a place for them to go post-clean, you're going to lose them anyway.
Okay.
Late into the night, John is still getting together information for the rescue team.
They're sending it's a videotape of how to clean turtles. Treating. Oh, fantastic. And that's all the antibiotics that they're using? Oh, I love it. Great, great, great. Okay.
It's the fourth day of the land battle, and British soldiers waiting to move up to the front enthusiastically volunteer to help in a different kind of war.
Beyond his wing out there, you can see that all the feathers are actually totally caked together with oil. See the magic fairy liquid? Oh, come on. Working from the front. See just how black the suds are there now. Absolutely filthy. The oil off his own. These tend to swim along the surface of the water and then dive underneath for their food. So obviously he's not going to do any swimming at all to stay easy, let alone fly anywhere. Underneath the thumb here. So used for balance when they're flying. Absolutely stacks of oil in there. It's just the first wash to get all the oil out. You're going to have to go through this about 3 times. And he dries out for a day or so and comes in for a second wash.
You should have been a movie star. They like this, the belly rubs, a lot of them.
And it's quite satisfying when you see them coming in a mass of sand and oil. And a couple of days later, they're running around in the pens outside all clean. And ready to start their rehabilitation into the wild again.
And have you worked with animals or with birds before?
No. This is first off. It's not to say that we won't volunteer to do it again, is it?
No, I think we will.
Give him a final rinse now. This will take about 35-40 minutes. And the thing we're looking for here is we're moving the jet of water in a circular motion, separating all the feathers out. All the feathers underneath now, the down, is nice and white. And get right into the root of the wings to make sure all the detergent comes out from where the feathers join the bone. You can see all the original colour is coming back into the wings nicely. They must feel better in themselves after a while once all the oil's out. A lot of them tend to calm down once you get to this stage.
No problem with that one. Get just a little bit of oil. They want to get out of the oil in the worst way. Go give them a break. Give them a chance to get back up on high ground. Geez, he really wants to get out of that oil. He wants to come ashore because he's out of breath. We've chased him into the water twice. He's got less red blood cells from ingesting that oil, so he's in trouble. He can't breathe. He's short of breath as much as I am. So that he's trying to get back in. He's got oil on him. he's having a hard time floating. He's probably cold, and he just wants to get out of the water. He wants to get away from the oil. So if we give him a break, give him a rest, he'll come back up and spread his wings out like they've been doing, trying to dry themselves off, knowing that they can't, well, not realizing that they can't.
Some reports say the worst is over, but a Saudi officer drives us to a lagoon where a fresh flood of oil has just surged in.
When did the oil come in? When did you first see it?
Oh, 1 hour ago, I think. Just now it's coming with a high tide.
What else breeds in here? What kind of a... We have shrimp. This is a shrimp area?
Yes, very rich.
Rich in shrimp?
Very rich in shrimp, yeah.
Young fish?
Yeah, young fish, larval fish.
What else is this? So it's an area that's very important for the entire Gulf, I guess, a breeding area, huh?
It's dying now.
Yeah, it's dying. All we want is something to clean him out. Clean his eyes, his beak, and...
Oh, do you have any cotton?
Yeah, just anything quick.
His mouth is full of...
Yes, we will.
I opened his mouth. Eyes.
Yeah, let's try to get as much...
Do me to open his mouth?
Yeah, do take... Get a little twig. Hey, let's get a little twig that we can clean his mouth with. Okay, little guy. Something we can just put in his mouth quickly.
His nose?
Yeah, let's just get this first.
I don't think he got a lot in his mouth. He just fell down now.
Yeah, but he put his head under it a few times, and he probably was breathing. Let's try to clear his little external. Got one for you, Joseph. Got one here in serious problem. This is a wading bird that came from Minifa. Really in real trouble. This is just got into the oil. It's hard to understand. They're telling us there is no more oil, and yet you saw that black oil come into that bay today, so it indicates to me that there's still a lot of oil going to be coming into a lot of areas where it hasn't been yet. If it goes around Abu Ali Island, we're in trouble, serious trouble.
Will the rescue center be able to cope with that?
No. No, quite frankly, we're going to need more people in the rescue center, more volunteers, going to have to expand it. The bird has to be washed, but before that he has to be rehydrated, his eyes cleaned, fed food, force-fed. It's time-consuming, each bird, and it takes a special care, a special kind of person that really knows how to do it. And even washing birds, because people haven't washed the birds carefully, they can drown. So great patience, great care. This is the team. We've got a damn good team here now.
It's the first time that we deal with like these problems, and it's completely new experience for us. And we are, fighting against time.
Gotta get some paper.
It's still not been confirmed if the Scud was intercepted by a Patriot missile, though clearly the most deadly section crashed to earth. But if anything, last night's horrific scenes have stiffened the Allies' resolve to finish off their military task. This morning, the shattered skeleton of the army barracks stood as a grim memorial to the Allies' worst moment of the war so far. At least 27 American servicemen and women died in the wreckage. Another 98 were injured.
Breathe, Cormorant.
Last night's Scud attack hit only 40 miles from here, and John's been warned that Iraqi mines are washing ashore on these beaches where we discovered the worst wave of oil yet.
What's that? Now see, those birds tried to get on that to get away from the oil while it was drifting in. You can see they got on it and died on top of it. Probably one of the reasons we're able to count the birds is the sea is a bit rough. It's starting to rain now, it's cloudy. And this wave action, which is pushing the sand up on the beach while it'll bind with the soil, it's also bringing up all the dead birds from the bottom. This is incredible. This is the heaviest concentrations of dead birds we've seen on this beach yet, on any area of beach. 200 meters, we've measured it off. and we get 89 dead birds. 89 birds in 200 meters, and this isn't a unique area. This isn't even a cove. So you can get just a good indication of what's happening, the number of birds dying, by this one area of beach and the tide still coming in. We don't even know what's under that black stuff, just the stuff that's on the surface here as it's going out. 89 birds in 200 meters. I think this is going to take no doubt, the heaviest toll on bird life anytime, ever, any other oil spill. No doubt in my mind. We're simply just scratching the surface with the ones we're picking up. They've got skimmers out and they've got pumps taking it off the beach, but it's still taking its toll. It's always going to be here for a while. It's going to be along the coast, and as these birds keep landing in it, they're going to keep dying, and we have to be vigilant. We have to have vehicles patrolling the entire beach. We have to go around the darn military installations, around the oil petroleum plants where they won't allow us in to pick up birds, and still they won't give us the birds. They won't let anybody on the beach. We're having a difficult time getting enough volunteers that'll spend the time to come here. War is on. People get their own problems rather than think about the birds. I mean, people were killed just last night by the Scuds that go right overhead here, going down to Dhahran.
There were no more Scud attacks after that. A few hours later, a ceasefire was declared. John decides to try to get into Kuwait. He's heard rumors that the animals in Kuwait Zoo have been starved and cruelly treated by Iraqi soldiers, so he's anxious to get there fast. The team has no chance of getting entry permits for Kuwait, so disguised in U.S. military uniforms, we plan to bluff our way across the border. On the way, we find several dead camels caught in the crossfire in the battle for Kafji.
Looks like he's at rifle fire. Is the shell still on it?
Immediately over the border, all along the highway, we find the wreckage of war. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and the smoke from the burning oil fields has turned day into night. It seems as if Saddam Hussein, in his madness, has plunged Kuwait into a cold, dark, lifeless underworld. We have to negotiate the cratered and mined highway and maneuver through the returning convoys of Saudi and U.S. armies already heading south out of this hellish inferno. Kuwait City was liberated 2 days ago, but the Kuwaiti resistance is still highly suspicious and mounts roadblocks at every street junction, searching for and confiscating weapons. And the Kuwaiti people now face further hardships. They have no electricity, water, or power. Entering the Kuwait Zoo, John quickly discovers that his fears were justified. Nearly all of the animals are dead. Many of them have been eaten by Iraqi soldiers. Some of the more exotic species have been taken to Baghdad Zoo as war booty.
They took the kangaroos. How many?
ما كلوا منه
لا ما كلوا منه
كم واحد؟ 7
7 kangaroos they took.
Most of the cages are empty. Stories abound of the sadistic treatment animals suffered at the hands of the occupying Iraqi soldiers.
Syrian bears. Ask Muhammad how many Syrian bears they had. Is this the total amount? How many bears here? 2?
3.
3 bears?
And one inside, they said, because they look like pain. Painful. They can't walk.
Why?
ليش يعني؟ They shoot.
They shoot the bear too?
Yes.
Where did they shoot it?
وين ضاربين؟
Where?
In the foot. Leg, yeah.
They shot the bear in the foot. The bear's inside now?
Yes, inside.
Let's go have a look at it. You have no medication? Oh, the old girl's she's in pain, huh? Is the animal eating? Is he eating? Yeah. Is he eating?
Incredible as it seems, Iraqi soldiers used the caged animals for target practice.
What about medication, antibiotics? Does he get medication? Medicine?
No medicine. إن في أطباء. No medicine because they damage all.
This is the transport cage, and what they wanted to do was take that tiger, put it in this cage. When they couldn't get the tiger to go into the cage, they shot it. Correct?
Yes.
And that's the skeleton and the skin and the
when
dead
they
animal.
can't, they shoot.
So they shoot him and they leave the cage. Ask him, was it a male, female lion they killed? Why they kill it? Ask him.
Only 20 animals are still alive. The lions are starving. With no one to clean out their cage, they have to endure lying in their own filth and the remains of other zoo animals they've been fed.
He's lost a lot of weight, and they shot him in the back leg.
He said they shot him in the body. Where? This side.
There? Yeah, where the swelling is.
Yeah,
I see it.
It's inside, I think.
Most of the remaining animals roam free. They forage for food where they can and are given just minimal rations donated by the local community. But they've had no water for 4 or 5 days since the retreating Iraqi army shut down the water supply and the electricity.
There is no more water here.
No more water.
So what does he do now to get water?
They give only food.
Only food, but
yes,
no water.
No water.
There's no place he can get water?
No, he can't, because a home for people, no water.
So we have to arrange to get some water for these animals now, I guess. Now, as far as food, what does he feed the hippos?
They bring food from outside.
And for the lions, people are bringing meat?
Sheep and some meat.
And the elephant?
الفيل. The same food.
So, but people, now who are the people that are bringing the food?
People where stay beside the zoo, they bring.
They look after the animals?
Yeah, they look.
Every day?
Every day they bring.
The animals that were shot
by
the military, the elephant's been shot?
Yes.
Hippopotamus has been shot?
Yes.
A monkey's been shot?
Yes.
The rhesus monkey?
Yes. Some. Yes.
Who shot the monkey? How many stars did the man have on his shoulder that shot the monkey?
Two generals. 2 star, 1 3 star.
2 generals. One? Again, repeat.
2 star, 1 3 star.
If I showed you photographs, could you identify the generals?
Yeah, I got it.
Very well. We'll pursue that.
No forget anybody.
Like an elephant, you don't forget.
No forget. And elephant, don't forget me.
Good. Okay, thank you. It isn't just that general who shot that monkey. We've got an elephant with a big abscess. We've got hippopotamus that we know that's been shot in the leg. We've got a bear that's been shot in the foot. There are a lot of other animals dead and burned around these cages. The pigs were shot and burnt. The general was probably setting an example for the rest of the troops, but he should pay his dues.
The Allied forces fly urgently needed supplies into Kuwait airport against a background of burning oil fields. But little, if any, of this food and medicine will find its way to the zoo. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. John drives south through Kuwait's eerie darkness back to Saudi Arabia. His priority now is to find immediate veterinary help and food supplies for the injured and starving animals we've left behind at Kuwait Zoo. In Saudi Arabia, life is already returning to normal. But just how much damage Saddam's environmental offensive has done is still hard to gauge.
Now, when Saddam Hussein mentioned that he would use whatever weapon in his power in this war, did you ever foresee that he would actually use oil?
He thought perhaps he would put oil onto the surface of the water and ignite it so it would stop the amphibious landing. He had this big complex about the amphibious landing, which actually was used as a ruse anyway when they went on the western flank and came and trapped his army in Kuwait. And then I'm sure he felt very happy when he realized the damage he's done. And basically he was perhaps trying to tell the world who are environmentally conscious that, you know, look, I can do these things.
So the tankers were bombed, the others were opened. Do you think he deliberately opened them?
We won't know the full story, I'm sure, until some time.
How hard has it been for your office to plan for the environmentally sensitive areas based on the fact that there's a war underway, we're getting information or perhaps misinformation?
Well, I think you've said it there. I mean, the fact is, for a start, it's very speculative as to how much oil had been let out into the Gulf. I'm sure we won't know the final amount of oil that's actually gone into the Gulf and for some time now. But it's currently estimated about 2 to 4 million barrels now. This seems to be the current estimate. That's one of the problems. Because of the war situation, reconnaissance flights have been extremely limited. So to actually locate the oil and map it accurately and its trajectories have been extremely difficult.
There hasn't been any fishing along here for a long time. In fact, all the fishermen that were here have been moved out. This beach was lined with fishing nets, and we call them weirs, for trapping the fish as they come in and go out of with the ingoing tide. But there are no vessels of any type allowed in the Gulf at this time. I pour the water out in the containers here every time I come through. Keep the container full for the pigeons that this fisherman used to have that are still flying around here.
The Allies have decisively won the Gulf War. But how successful have the biologists been in fighting the wildlife war?
Today we've got close to 850 birds that have been picked up. That's all that can be done. There won't be any more oil of any significant degree that we can see now going ashore. But there's no doubt in my mind that the turtles are going to get into it as they're now coming into this area to nest and lay their eggs. The wading birds are going to die by the thousands as they get into these tidal flats and continue on their migration, and then they clean themselves, ingest the oil, and die quietly in the marshes where there are no rescue teams to help them out.
It's been more than a week since the sea turtle was rescued from Manifa, 40 miles north of here. Now the team returns her back to the sea, back to clean water, miles away from the oil slick. She's been cleaned and cared for, and in this area there is plenty of seagrass for her to eat. Hopefully she'll survive. 9 months have passed since the liberation of Kuwait, and the last oil wells are being capped. The war has ended for the armies. Kuwait City has recovered quickly. There are plenty of new cars, and people are spending lots of money in the well-stocked shops. But John Walsh's battle for the wildlife is far from over. He returns to find the desert is still an oily minefield, littered with weapons and booby traps.
The oil fields is where the Iraqis had dug in. They had set fire to the wells, and all of their hand grenades and rockets and mortars are laying across the desert around the burning wells, and they're all covered with oil now, and you can't see them. So anyone who goes in to look for the birds that are going to get trapped on the lakes of oil are going to have to be very careful walking around the mines and unexploded hand grenades. We're now south of Ahmadi. We're in the Burgan oil fields. The Burgan oil fields are the fields with the heaviest oil pressure. The greatest amount of smoke was here all during the burning from the wells. All of the ground here, the entire desert, for miles and miles, is black. It's covered with a tarry substance about 2 inches to 3 inches thick. For months and months it was black overhead from the wells that are burning around here. The wells that weren't burning were also spewing oil. They didn't catch fire when they were dynamited. The problem here is this oil is laying all over across the top of the desert, and it's taken a heavy toll on bird life. What happened is these insects are obviously confused by the reflection of the blue sky above, and they see these are dragonflies, thinking that this is fresh water. They've dipped in it, obviously been trapped, got stuck in it, sunk, and that's what's killing all of this life now.
Near Kuwait's border with Iraq, John visits Bedouin friends he met after the ceasefire.
Are the animals still getting injured by the bombs in the mine? They're getting
bombed? They're injured, but this mine, the bombs, yeah.
Throughout all this area still?
All this area, yeah. Some places it's clean, and some places no, it's not clean. It's very dangerous.
Were there many Iraqis around, right around the farm area?
Yeah. They have many camp here in this area.
Military?
Military, yeah. Iraqi camps.
I got him. Okay, now look. Let's see, this is the problem with this one, is the discharge. You see that discharge around the nose? This is the problem we're seeing with all of the sheep and all of the livestock that have been in the area where there's been a lot of smoke. There's this discharge around the nose. The animals are coughing. They've obviously got a respiratory problem. We've seen it with the horses, the sheep, the goats, and I expect we're going to see it with people. The animals that they've done post-mortems on, they've seen evidence of the soot and the smoke that's got into their lungs.
Live ammunition still lies scattered across the desert. Now the sand is starting to cover everything, and the animals are unknowingly grazing into danger. After the war, John concentrated on feeding and caring for the starving zoo animals in Kuwait, making 13 trips back to Saudi Arabia for supplies. On this return visit, he finds there's finally plenty of food. John tours the zoo with its new director. Much of the damage has been repaired, but the animals carried off to Iraq have not been returned. John checks on the progress of the animals he cared for after the ceasefire.
The male that died had an injury on its left rear leg, couldn't walk. We've kept the moat over there flooded right to the top, so the bear was swimming every day in the water all the time, swimming. After a few weeks, he started walking by himself. And we had a veterinarian come in from the Riyadh Zoo, and he said, hey, the bear is doing fine. There's no point tranquilizing it, no point sending it to our zoo. It was doing fine for, as you know, a long time later, and then he sat back in his cage one day and had what appears to have been a hemorrhage from the head. Nice. An instant, no indication, no suffering, just went down quick. The military camera crews came to find out where the bullet was.
Okay.
And if you look at the bullet hole, Musa, yeah, right in the shoulder, where the bullet went in, the bullet is, if you were go to 1 o'clock, yeah, right there, there's the hole. It's up. The bullet went in, and he likes apples. She likes apples. The bullet went in at about 3 inches above the hole, and is in about 3 inches, and the animal isn't in any danger. Hello, sweetheart. Look at the weight you've put on, huh? You remember me, huh? Oh, sure, huh? They put on so much weight, they must have put on a couple of 100 pounds. How are you? Copy that. These animals used to follow me around. They follow my truck. They make this noise like, I come back today and to see the place clean and no papers, no rubbish, no debris, and the pens are clean, and the animals are fat and sassy, and the vitamins have done them good. The hair is growing back in. A lot of satisfaction. You feel pretty good when you see the animals there. You know, spending months with them and working and sleeping with them and living with them, and they get to be your friends. You get to know them. And they, as I say, the water buffalo would follow me around. It was clear that they enjoyed the company too, and somebody that wasn't harassing them and taking good care of them. I will never forget the first day we came into the zoo. It was total chaos, something totally unbelievable. Everything was destroyed. The cages were broken, the walls were down, the gates were open, the animals were roaming around. Hello, my friend. Hello, my friend. How are you? How are you? There's no question that I couldn't have done this without the help of the military. The 352nd Civil Affairs Unit was superb. When I needed water tankers, they sent them. If the U.S. military was tied up with water tankers and couldn't get them here or to the livestock on the farms, the British military filled in and would send a tanker over. They helped by flying in the hay and the grain. I would buy it in Saudi Arabia, and they sent the first Chinook helicopter down to get me 150 bales here at the zoo.
In the 9 months since a river of oil floated down the Gulf Coast, much of the oil has been transformed by the tropical sun and the churning water. The thick black poison no longer lies like a blanket on the sea. But it's still there, paving the beaches and lurking deep under the sand and rocks, seeping up a little at a time to kill the wildlife which survived its first onslaught.
This is the oil that I was standing in. At that time, when the tide was in, when the oil was coming in, it was about 9 inches thick and very heavy, very syrupy, very sticky. Now you can see it's settled down into the sand. It's a few inches deep. It's mixed with the sand, mixed with the rocks, and has formed this asphalt-like texture as a band all the way along the beach. All the way along the coast, 560 kilometers of Saudi Arabia has a belt of this. As it heats up, the tide brings that oil to the surface and washes it back and sweeps all of the life in front of it, kills all of that small life that the migratory birds are going to depend on. It's going to be really tough for the next few migrations coming through here of the wading birds that are going to be looking for all of these dead snails and mollusks and clams. Here we're just behind a coral reef, and the wave action has covered the oil with sand. I'm going to try this one. Look at this. You see, the oil is trapped in the sand in the porous pockets of the coral, the broken coral. And here it's trapped and remained. And as the tides come and go, this oil will be released and come ashore. And as it goes back, everything in its wake will die.
John, how fresh is that oil?
That's just as it appeared then. This is the fresh crude trapped in those pockets of the coral. To clean this beach effectively, they'd have to plow it all up, totally destroy it, totally disrupt the ecosystem. That just wouldn't be practical.
So how many years is this going to stay in the system here?
Nobody knows. No one's ever had the opportunity to watch a spill like this, considering the temperature, the salinity of this particular ocean. Here's a crab that survived the onslaught of the oil, but it's just a question of time before this oil going across could get this little guy. That will spread out. And will have killed this crab. Most of them are gone in this area. There should be a lot of these little crabs. But as each one of these stones is turned over, this oil will be brought in with the tide.
The oil stopped right here at Abu Ali Island, about 100 miles from the Kuwaiti border. The fishermen have returned, and their fishing weirs are out. They say the fish are not contaminated.
The big fish here? Yeah? No. But the fish... The oil comes in. The oil comes in.
No, koyis.
No. No more.
Koyis.
Oh, koyis, oil. The fish...
Okay,
good. It's okay. It's good.
Okay.
But closer to the war zone, Saddam Hussein's war on wildlife is still claiming new victims. It will be years before the relentless sun and sea, together with determined efforts by people like John Walsh, can beat back the tide of destruction unleashed by one dictator in a few short days. Funding for NOVA is provided by Johnson & Johnson, the signature recognized around the world for commitment to quality healthcare products for the entire family. And Lockheed, a bold new force in systems engineering, management, and technology services for defense, space, and industry. Major funding for NOVA is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the financial support of viewers like you.